Hello everyone and welcome to Disney Miss Lizzie. Out of all the takeovers and additional content that Disney Plus has acquired, none was more surprising and probably more exciting than the announcement that the platform would be streaming Doctor Who outside of the UK. And with only 6 months until the 60th anniversary, now is a good time more than ever to start getting into the show or to revisit. But where do you start? Well, I'm glad you asked me that because I am going to show 5 episodes that will introduce you to the Whoniverse, including one that was voted for on the YouTube polls. Just wanted to say an enormous thank you for checking out the channel. If you like what I do, then please hit that subscribe button, like and comment this video, and also share it to build up the community. You can also leave plenty of comments as well. And you can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Before we get started, let's have a quick rundown of what Doctor Who is and why it's so iconic. As a premise, Doctor Who is of a time-travelling alien who explores time and space in the TARDIS, which stands for Time and Relative Dimension in Space. The Doctor comes across many things whilst travelling on their journey, including aliens and monsters, either here on Earth or up in space. The most famous foes of the Doctor include the Daleks, the Cybermen, the Master, or sometimes known as Missy, and the Weeping Angels, but there's been countless of other foes that the Doctor has come across. One of the main things that makes Doctor Who so original and iconic is that the show embraces change. So far there have been 13 Doctors within the official lineup, and David Tennant is reprising his role as the Doctor and is regenerating as the 14th, and Sex Education star Shatir Gatwa taking over the role as the 15th Doctor in the new year. Now that we have a rough idea of what the show is, why don't we start our countdown with a regeneration episode? It is the 2009 two-parter Christmas special, The End of Time. The End of Time was David Tennant's final episodes as the 10th Doctor, with the audience saying goodbye to not only the Doctor, but also to Wilf and Donna, 2 of the companions from season 4. We see the Doctor's nemesis, the Master, wanting to create the perfect race by imprinting himself onto the world's population, but as the Doctor tries to stop the Master's plan, he is also escaping the prediction of his own mortality. The words, "He will knock 4 times," continue to haunt him. The reason why I wanted to start with this episode is that it gives a good explanation as to what a regeneration cycle includes, why it would happen, and why 10 is so revered and loved. It may not be my favourite episode of 10, there are so many stronger episodes from that series, but this just introduces that whole regeneration cycle perfectly. And when I watched this for the first time when it was broadcast on New Year's Day, I think it took me about an hour to calm down, and as I'm trying to eat my New Year's Day sandwich, just, oh no, he's gone! Because 10 is very dear to me. He's my Doctor, and he's the reason why I got into Doctor Who, and I spent a long time with him going on this wonderful journey through time and space and the TARDIS, and it was a connection that I'd never thought I'd have, and he was going, and it was an extremely sad New Year's Day. Quite cheesy in some of the special effects, and the Master's plan isn't the strongest of the Master's storylines with David Tennant, but John Sim, who based his performance on the Joker from the Dark Knight trilogy, he does a very good job, and they both bounce off each other very well. And yeah, and David Tennant is just iconic as the Doctor. So that's why this episode helps to kick off the rest of our countdown. But we can stop crying now, because the next episode continues directly after The End of Time. It also signals not only a new Doctor, but a new companion, a new TARDIS, and a new title sequence. It is the 11th hour. On a clear night, young Amelia Pond prays to Santa, asking him to send someone to look at the crack in her wall. Shortly afterwards, her prayers have been answered, as a strange blue box crashes into the back garden, followed by the appearance of a raggedy man. Amelia shows the Doctor the crack in her bedroom wall. Concerned, the raggedy Doctor steps into the blue box, promising to be back in 5 minutes. 12 years later, and something strange is happening in the village of Ledworth, including the cracks in the wall. The 11th Hour is a zany, energetic and magical season opener. The inspiration for the 11th Hour came from Winnie the Pooh, particularly Tigger's reaction to trying new food. Amelia's house was designed to appear spooky, with the director taking references from E.T. and Tim Burton. Okay, so this is one of my favourite episodes, and it's my favourite season opener because it's so energetic and it's so bouncy. And after sort of the dramatic and emotional conclusion for End of Time, you have Matt Smith just leaping out of this box and just being, feed me, I want food, and it's lovely and magical. And at that time I was quite sceptical that, well, no one can replace David Tennant, but he wasn't. He was his own Doctor, and I warmed to Matt Smith's Doctor very, very, very quickly. And it's a wonderful season opener. I also adore the creativity poured into it, the point of view that you have of the Doctor when he's trying to remember. I've seen this before when you go into this photography stop motion effect, and again it was quite a big risk to do, and it worked so well. And that's why I love it so much, because you have all these creative choices flooding in. You have this new bouncy zany Doctor, and although he doesn't really know who he is, it doesn't stay very long, and that is something that both David Tennant and Matt Smith did very well at the end of their episodes, is that they started off going, I have no idea who this face is, and then by the end of it, it's, I'm the Doctor. I am the Doctor, and you believe it, and I love that. And I have great respect for Stephen Moffat's time during season 5 as this, because it was an extremely hard job to do, and I don't envy him at all, but he did a very good job in the 11th Hour. And staying with the 11th Doctor and Amy and season 5, we now go and visit Vincent van Gogh in the episode Vincent and the Doctor. Whilst visiting an art gallery featuring Vincent van Gogh's work, Amy spots an unsettling creature in the church at Uvaas. Startled by this sudden appearance, the Doctor and Amy travel to meet the man himself, attempting to help him in more ways than one. Written by Richard Curtis, writer of the popular British comedy series Blackadder and for the British films Notting Hill and Love Actually, Vincent and the Doctor was the first episode to feature a mental health hotline after its initial broadcast. Bill Nye's role of Dr. Black, although small, had to be played by a prominent actor, as the audience needed to pay attention to the biography and legacy of Vincent van Gogh. In the laws of Doctor Who, this is classed as a biographical episode, and it's in keeping with what the show was originally intended to be, which was a family entertainment history show where the Doctor would go and visit various figures in history and interact with them. So the reason why I popped this on here is because when you think of Doctor Who, you initially think of the Daleks, the Cybermen, wobbly sets, where this sort of strips it back and it explores the complications of mental health and severe depression and the attitudes that would have been held back then towards Vincent van Gogh. He isn't revered, he isn't adored, he isn't admired for his artwork. It's just very respectfully well done, and to try and balance that with an alien invasion, it can't have been an easy task to do, to still make it light-hearted and to still make it feel like Doctor Who. And there is also a beautiful nod to The Starry Night, one of Vincent van Gogh's most famous paintings, and it explores his artistic eye and how he feels about the Doctor and Amy being there with him, and how important of a relationship they've built together. And I think it's just a very, very beautiful scene, and the graphics and the CGI are just lovely, and it's a very, very humbling piece, I'd say. Okay, now we're time for some wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. But don't blink. Blink and you're dead. You have been warned. Exploring West Drumlin's house, Sally Sparrow finds a secret message waiting for her, written from somebody named the Doctor. Strange connections, occurrences and disappearances keep happening around her, but how are they all connected? Who is the man on the DVD? And what, exactly, are the Weeping Angel statues? First episode in 22 years to be directed by a woman, and was purposely created to feature as little of the Doctor and Martha as possible, to allow David Tennant and Freema Agyeman to concentrate on the season 3 finale. Doctor Who episodes that don't feature the Doctor as much are regarded as light Doctor Who episodes. Other examples of this include Series 2's Love and Monsters and Series 6 The Girl Who Waited. So this is my favourite all-time episode of Doctor Who because it is so creative and yet it's stripped back of everything. The directing is wonderful, the lighting is brilliant, and the choreography surrounding the Weeping Angels is mwah, chef's kiss all the way. You have a great balance of fear and these little light-hearted moments that sort of break the episode up, because you do sit there going, I can't look, but if I stop looking, I'm gonna die, and it's very well done. And I love the fact that Stephen Moffat took something so innocent. So the premise of The Weeping Angels was based on the children's games Grandmother's Footsteps and What's the Time, Mr. Wolf? And taking something that is very innocent and turning it completely on its head is so well done, and this is such a clever episode, and this is at the height of Stephen Moffat's reign of Doctor Who. And at that time, when the Stephen Moffat episode was about to air, you know it was going to be something creepy, something scary, something spine-tingling, and Blink is all of those. And it's just very, very clever and very well done. Terrifying, and I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So I would highly recommend this. Highly, highly recommend it. Even if you're sceptical of Doctor Who and don't want to watch Daleks or Cybermen, watch The Weeping Angels and you can see just how creepy Doctor Who can be and how clever it can be as well. Now we move on to the episode that was voted for by you. The episodes in question were The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances, Silence in the Library and the Forest of the Dead, The Impossible Astronaut and the Day of the Moon, and Heaven Sent. I can reveal that the episode that you voted for is the 2005 two-parter The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances. Chasing a war vessel back in time, the Doctor and Rose land in January 1940 during the height of the London Blitz. But that isn't the only dangerous thing waiting for them. Wandering the streets of London is a lost boy asking for his mummy. There is more to him than meets the eye. The first episode written by future showrunner Stephen Moffat, and it is often the episode voted the most scariest in Doctor Who, alongside Moffat's other episode, Blink. There is so much I want to say about this episode, but I fear that if I do, I'm going to spoil it, and I don't want to spoil anything for it, so I'll try and keep it brief and quick. But it has all the ingredients of a classic Stephen Moffat episode. It's very creepy, it's taking something innocent and turning it on its head. So the question that this little boy in the gas mask constantly asks is, are you my mummy? Mummy, mummy. And to have that on repeat and use it in a way is just and but it's still very well done. And I would recommend watching Christopher Eccleston's run as the Ninth Doctor. Sadly his episodes weren't featured on the countdown, but he is a very good example of how this series came about. He's also a very strong Doctor, he's a good Doctor. Going back to the episode in hand, it's very well directed, very well sound design, and it just introduces Stephen Moffat, and it is, again, chef's kiss all the way. I can't explain it other than it's a very strong episode. Anyway, thank you so much for checking out this episode. Remember, if you like what I do, then please hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and like this video. You can also leave me plenty of comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the countdown and whether you agree with the episode choice. And don't forget, you can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Anyway, thank you again so much, guys. Have an awesome day, and I will see you in the next video. Okay, thanks everyone. Bye!